could I describe my experience in one sentence? I'm joking that I have one sentence for my gravestone, and my sentence for my gravestone is, it was terribly difficult. I have learned a lot. But yeah, it was terribly difficult and terribly long, 10 years. But before I start, I want to share one anecdote. I have been at this market for 16 years, and this event has happened for 12 years or so. And each year at such events, people say, oh, now it's impossibly difficult to grow apps. And next year they say, oh, now it's impossibly difficult to grow apps, and last year it was easy. And for 16 years, it means like each year it's getting more and more and more and more difficult. And after 16 years of that, I think it will be more and more difficult. And we need to change and learn all the time. A moment of my humble bragging. I should share these numbers with very humble appearance, looking to the floor, but our numbers are quite impressive objectively, because Flow is the biggest health app in the world with 80 million monthly active users. Now we have 250 million in annualized run rate, and it's among apps with revenue in App Store and Google Play. It's number 2 in the world among all health and fitness apps. Just MyFitnessPal is bigger in category. And we have 6 million of paying users. And also we have huge penetration to population, to audience. For example, in UK, approximately 22% of all women younger than 45 are monthly active users. And among 20 years old women, approximately 40% of all women in UK are monthly active users. It was mentioned that last year Flow raised 230 million from General Atlantic, and it was the biggest round to digital health last year. It was quite difficult, I would say, but fundraising is always difficult. Fundraising is the most terrible experience you may have, because it's just the best way to destroy your self-esteem and break your soul. Even when you know rules. Even when you have all metrics like Flow, it's still soul-breaking, and it's still the best way to destroy your personality. Now we have 500 people. I'm not sure that I should be proud or not by this number, because I don't think that the success of the company should be measured by number of people, but we have much work to do, because we are building a big platform, and 80% of people, they are building product. 420 people from 500, they are building product. And we have invested to product up to this moment 300 million, and we are planning to invest 200 million more next 2 years, just to R&D of the product. Because of nature of our product, we are very health-focused, and we are very science-focused. We have doctors and experts who work with us. We partner with universities, and we trying to help science. And I'm proud that up to this moment we published 3 papers in Nature, and even the single paper in Nature would be kind of a summit of scientific career for many scientists, and we got already 3 of them. And also we are trying to be kind of a good company, to follow our mission, and because of that we decided that Flow should be for free in countries where women can't pay, and up to this moment we gifted almost 25 million of subscriptions. In countries like India, we gifted maybe 3 times more subscriptions than we sold in rich Western countries. And very briefly, what's Flow, to understand the rest of story. Flow is kind of like a health, big health platform with core product period tracker. And the very core idea from the very beginning of Flow was to take period tracker and surround period tracking by more sophisticated health features like symptom checkers, content, chatbots, and period tracker plays as a driver of retention and engagement. And all the sophisticated stuff around period tracker creates value. And this ecosystem is very sustainable because of cheap acquisition and long retention, but also because of enough significant value to be monetizable. But also a very big decision of Flow was to have like modes for different stages of life, like trying to conceive, pregnancy, perimenopause, and users, they move from stage to stage. And because of that, like retention is very long, and it's like a reason why we got 80 million users, because like retention is very, very long term because of this product decision. And this graph shows our growth from the very beginning. We started 10 years back up to the current moment, and you see that growth of MAU is just like a straight line for 10 years. And why? Why it's straight line for 10 years? And why Flow became so big? Ultimately, it's just about two parameters which makes company big and successful as Flow. It's high retention of product and potentially huge total addressable market. And good retention is very rare in health and fitness category. And I'm with my partners, we have started many health apps, like it's not the single product. We have started more than 15 products, and we have got 6 exits up to this moment. But retention is very rare. And why retention is very rare in health and fitness category? Well, it's nature of people. It's not like it's not like about products. It's about people. Like why like retention of gyms is low? Because you may choose like to visit gym or not to visit a gym. And but some products, they may have better retention because or it's very pleasant, or it's because it's very painful. And the secret of high retention of period trackers, because based on the fact that kind of it's very significant and life influencing process, like event, which you can't choose. You may choose like to visit gym or not to visit gym. You may avoid that, you may delay that, but it's not about like a period. And because of that, life must be organized around period. And because of that, all period trackers, not just Flow, all period trackers, they have good retention. It's the nature of product. And also like among women younger than younger than 40, maybe 70%, they use period trackers, and because of that, like TAM is huge. And because of that, like audience is just like layering up. You may see at this graph how like our MAU looks like based on like time when users installed the app for the first time, and you may see that more than half of our users, they have installed app more than 1 year ago. And this is just like layering up, and because of that, like our MAU is always growing. And it's a very big question. Is it possible to really drastically improve retention of product by experimentation, by gamification, by anything? I would say that it rarely happens. It means that like retention is the most difficult metric to move, and if you don't see some like a promising retention in simple version of your product, in core product, it's highly unlikely that you would change it 10 times by any improvement of product. Maybe a bit, maybe 2 times, but definitely not 10 times. It happens very rarely because retention is about user cases, not about product. And it's like a very significant idea many people don't understand. And when we started Flow, a very simple version 10 years back, from the first moment, retention was very, very high. I put to this graph like my slides from my first deck. I used to raise a seed round in 2016, and even that time, like retention was super strong, and like a graph of MAU growth was like the same as you see now 10 years back. And it was quite easy to conclude that moment that like combination of good retention, combination with huge TAM promise something big. I mentioned that Flow has very significant penetration to audience, but it varies a lot between countries. And you may see that definitely we have much higher penetration at the West, but some countries, like why we're so popular in Poland, for example, I even don't know, even by my own, because we even don't have like a proper localization in Poland. Or for example, why we're so popular in Italy. Sometimes it just happened because App Store or Google Play early stage may decide that your app is very decent and start promoting it, and because then it's getting some gains and then word of mouth, and then you get into this position. But I can't say that this penetration really reflects our marketing effort or even localization effort. Like many countries just happened occasionally, and it happened because it happened. But also, it's interesting, why you have so low penetration in countries like, for example, India. And the answer is that very often it's not about your product, it's about category. And in India, women don't use period trackers as a category, not as a product. And it's very significant to see, when you're promoting your app, is category strong? Because if you're trying to create category, it's really difficult. And when we started Flow, category of period trackers was already very, very big. I remember that in top 10 of health and fitness apps at the time, 5 apps were period trackers. And some period trackers, for example, Glow, a Glow app, was started by Max Levchin, CTO of PayPal. They raised 30 million from Anderson Horowitz and Founders Fund. It means that category was formed. But very often people, they are scared by such markets, like when market is full of products. But really it's a good sign when market big and fragmented and you see significant products there, because it means that the soil is fertile and you definitely have chance to take part of this soil for your own garden. And the biggest mistake is to create something because there are no products like that. Because after 16 years of existence of market of apps, it's highly unlikely that ideas were not tested. And if market doesn't exist, probably market doesn't exist for a reason. And probably if you try to create this market after 16 years of trying, highly unlikely that you would have success. Of course, you want to know how Flow became so big. And I may say very openly that Flow is not especially good in marketing. Flow is a product company. We are product builders. And we even didn't have a proper paid user acquisition up to 2020 or 2021. And definitely we have never had brand promotions, influencer promotions, nothing like that. Our growth was based just on very simple fact that we were building the best product, and because product was the best, then simultaneously 2 events happened. Google Play and App Store, they have algorithms which observe your metrics and your rating, and if your metrics and ratings is high, it starts to promote you. And then if you have a big audience and your audience is happy, they share word of mouth that I use this product and this product is good, and then you're getting word of mouth traffic. And initially we had mostly a general organic traffic, people who were searching for period trackers. And now most of our traffic is based on people who are searching for Flow. It was a huge change, and this change is driven by big MAU. But also, we got paid user acquisition, not in an especially sophisticated form, and it's pretty helpful for growth now. But I believe that you always should have a balance between paid user acquisition and organic traffic. But organic traffic is really difficult to grow because nowadays it would be much more difficult to repeat this case with App Store and Google Play than 10 years back. But you definitely may repeat this case with word of mouth. But for that, you need retention. because without retention you would not grow more, but without more you would not get like word-of-mouth traffic. And because of that, like retention is the most essential part of equation if you want to get organic traffic at scale and sustainable organic traffic. Yeah, it's like a graph shows like how flow, awareness of flow was growing in comparison with our competitors, and the flow now is the most well-known product at the market. Yeah, and of course, like all people are interested in money, and you may see how our revenue was growing, but I would say that in this graph is more significant to take attention not to the left part of this graph, but to the right part of this graph, and see how much money we are getting from people who installed Flow 1 year or more back. And you may see that most of our money we are getting from people who installed like Flow like for a while ago. And again, like I'm coming back for my initial message that retention is the key, because without retention, like this business would be like just a treadmill, which is like just like you're running, but you're staying on the same place. It's interesting that when we started Flow, we didn't foresee that Flow would become so big. And not because we were not ambitious or we were not understanding the market, because we were quite experienced at that moment. We already had exits, we already had started many apps, we were quite sophisticated. The answer is in this graph in the left part of this slide. You may see that this graph shows growth of revenue from subscription and in-app purchases in App Store and Google Play combined, like last 10 years with projections up to 2030. And you may see that at the moment when we started Flow, it was minuscule. It was like maybe 10 billion or so for App Store and Google Play combined. And at that time, big apps, even like apps with dozens of millions in revenue, were like there were some games, but definitely not apps at the time. And also it was almost impossible to imagine that some apps in categories like health and fitness would earn hundreds of millions like now. But we got this huge tailwind of subscription business model, and this tailwind was almost kind of like a life-changing event for the industry, because at that time, in 2015, it was like a time when industry was like a pretty bad state, because all monetization models were quite weak. People were not paying like more than several bucks for in-apps. Advertising was applicable just for some apps with very deep engagement, and most of apps, they had miserable existence and tiny teams. And what subscription business model changed, and we should kind of like say thank you to Apple, Netflix, and other Spotify and other big companies. They created this habit and this kind of acceptance of people that it's okay to pay like dozens or hundreds of bucks per year for digital products, because this idea that you may pay for app like dozens or hundreds of bucks per year, which is pretty like kind of common sense nowadays, it was absolutely insane idea 10 years back. And I even remember when we decided to start subscriptions in Flow, I got a riot in the team because team was against doing that, because it was kind of insane idea to put subscription in product like Flow at that moment, because such examples just didn't exist. And I put to this graph like what we promised investors in our seed round deck in 2016, and of course, like we were trying like to be bold, and but we said like with all our bold assumptions that like we will have 2-3 million in monthly active users and several million in revenue. And at the time, it was kind of like a bold projections. But even when we were talking like, is it possible to have like 100 million revenue? It was absolutely insane idea, and we should not underestimate future, because future may be very different than our current moment, and many tailwinds may emerge, and it's very wrong to make long-term projections based on current state of market and current state of society, because many habits may change, many tailwinds may emerge. You should just like adapt very fast, but I'm very skeptical about long-term projections because of such experience. And I would want to touch one very interesting topic. Like totally we raised to Flow more than maybe 350 million or so. And also we raised several hundred millions to other companies. And I spent much time with investors. I met pretty much all big firms, and I talked maybe with 200 investors or so. Like it's not the most pleasant part of my life, I need to admit, but I got very significant experience in talking with investors. And why it's difficult to raise money to apps and to subscription business model when it's about consumer subscription business model? Because most of investors, 99% of investors, they can't measure subscription businesses in the right way because they just blindly apply habits from SaaS to consumer subscriptions. But you can't make right understanding from that because behavior of consumers is very different. And because consumers, they stop subscriptions, they come back, they may stop subscription and they stay in free product, they may reinstall apps, they may convert to subscription like in 1 year, in 2 years. And because of that, like if you just apply logic of SaaS, when there's this like rigid logic that, oh, if it's not like a 40-50% of 1 year retention, then it's bad. You would never understand like a potential of the business model. And much better metric to understand potential of your product is to use net revenue retention. What does it mean? It's very simple. You are taking a cohort of users and you observe revenue from this cohort. Like 1 year, first year, 100%. Next year, like $100. Next year, $70. But then in case of Flow, next year $70 again, next year $70 again, $70 again. And it means that your money kind of just stop charging at some moment. But if you look just on retention, like you would conclude that pretty much shitty business. And many investors are just doing such conclusions. And just to illustrate a bit like why it works, it's like how LTV graph looks in Flow, like it's like in 4 years, and you may see that it's growing all the time, and not just because people renew subscription, but because people they convert later. Some of our users they convert 1 year after, 6 months after. Like some of them stop using like subscription, but then we may get them back as win back, and because that is always growing. It's almost infinitely growing, and it's like why we see this phenomena of net revenue retention, and also like why this like lines going up. Like it's like a kind of power of optimization. It's power of experimentation. Like all the time, like we are getting like this curves higher and higher, higher and higher. And why we are getting these curves higher and higher? Experiments. Like simultaneously, Flow has more than 300 experiments. Like in each moment, we run 300 experiments. And of course, it's luxurious to run 300 experiments because we have a big team. We have 80 million monthly active users. We have 8 million installs per month. Of course, like we're in quite luxurious situations that we just have enough users to do that. But when you in such luxurious situation, then it's a huge competitive advantage because, like, just example, 4 years back we started our onboardings, and conversion from our onboardings to trial was like maybe 2-3%. Now it's almost 20%. It means like the same product. We increase conversions like 8 times by experimentation, not like 8%, not 80%, 8 times, 800%. But like after thousands of experiments and still improving. Like last week we got like an experiment which improved conversions on onboarding on 10% after like when it's already was improved to like 800%. And you should never underestimate that. But it's a luxurious situation, and what to do if you're not in such a luxurious situation to have so much traffic. Copy. Take usually the same works for labs. Take a leader like Flow and just copy, because you always should assume that a big product like Flow, everything you see is a result of optimization after thousands of experiments, and it's much better for you just to copy rather than to try to find something in your imagination or intuition, because you almost definitely will be wrong. After 10 years and thousands of experiments, I still can't predict what would work and what would not work. It's just impossible. But then, be realistic and just copy, and it's not shameful to copy from leaders. Yeah, I had very short time to make this presentation, and of course, we just touched several topics. But if you want to understand the story of Flow and why Flow is successful and how we work, recently I had 2 long interviews, each my interview like 90 minutes or so. One interview was in 20 VC podcast with Harry Stebbings, and another interview was in Product Market Fit podcast. And these interviews are a bit different. Interview with Harry was more about business. In Product Market Fit, it was more about product, but I'm describing in depth the story of Flow and our approach to that. And also, I'm here not just because I would want to share, but because I need to promote Flow and hire the best people, and because if you want to work in such a rocket ship, visit our website, see open positions, and we always want to see people who are simultaneously driven, have curiosity and discipline. It's three parameters I hire people. I want to see drive, I want to see curiosity, and I want to see a discipline and work ethics. And even experience for me less significant, because I know that people with such traits, they learn very fast. Thank you for listening to me, and nice day. I hope that you will learn a lot, and one day you will be humble bragging from this stage about your unicorn.